Welcome back to some more Create Integrated. So at this point in the playthrough, I mean, we have gotten a ton of cool things, and I've now gone through the progression line that basically unlocks all of the potential of the pack. And you would think that this is it, but it's not. And this is something that I really wanted to go over. Over the last few years, as I've been playing through mod packs, progression-based mod packs have become sort of the standard that everybody really loves. And it's because it does give us goals. And a lot of us really have a hard time figuring out what to do after we've achieved those goals. And so what ends up happening is a lot of times in a mod pack, you end up with creative items where after you get them, you don't really feel like there's anything else left to do in a pack. But in mine, you don't have an end goal per se. You also don't achieve creative items. And also the thing that makes it feel like you can make more items is not infinite. And I will say, as much as replication is really, really cool and it allows you to make a bunch of different blocks and pull them out in exchange for other ones, it's very limited in what you can actually do with it. A good example of this is, let's say I want to unlock tier 3 glyphs, which I haven't done yet, and I want to make ancient codexes. Well, there's nothing really in here besides the blank parchment that can even be made with replication. Everything else here, you still have to work towards. And that means, for example, to make marks of the technomancy, we are going to need more Wilden tributes. And so there are plenty more goals and plenty of cool things to automate and strive for. And that's why I included this text over here that says automate everything, because ultimately that's the goal. And I will tell you, I am no exception from the feeling that is, what do I do from here? Just as I popped into my world today, I was like, what am I going to work on today? And really started to struggle to figure that out. And that's when I wandered around and I was like, you know what? This little landmass over here, this could use a little bit of TLC. And I could potentially build something over to that landmass and or build a bridge. And that was all it took. That's all it took to literally get me out of that funk. Now, I know if you're watching this series and you've made it all the way to episode 35, I mean, I've got to high five you for that. Thank you so much for making it this far. Because I know a lot of people don't even make it into episode 15, for example. I do publish quite frequently. But I do want to commend you. Thank you for watching. And I know I don't say that much, but I do mean it. What's on my agenda for today? As I've been rambling on for quite a while, I want to take this landmass here and I want to prep myself for making those tier 3 glyphs, and that's going to unlock the full potential of our spellbook. Now, to be able to do this, I'm going to have to take a step back to my roots and, well, explore mods, because at this point, I have only automated the Wilden Chimera one time, and I had a lot of external mods to do this. This go around, all I have is create, I have just dire things, and I have Ars. So I need to figure out a way to be able to take on this boss by potentially using the combination of those mods. Now with Ars, we have plenty of really hard-hitting spells that we could potentially use. And when it comes to create, we have these really powerful seats. And I was thinking, could we potentially stop the Wilden Chimera by putting it onto a seat? I mean, there's only one way to answer this. We have to test it. So temporarily, I've built out a few seats that are just sort of spread out, just so when it walks, maybe it'll get caught on one of these seats, because I know mobs will kind of fall into place. Now, not all mobs can be caught into seats, and there's actually a blacklist for it, but I don't think the Wilden Chimera is by default on it. And this is going to be pretty nice, because this hopefully will allow us to automate this in some capacity, at least with the limited mods we have. I'm really sorry for you horses. This may not end good for you. Anyways. So the Wilden is going to do its phase. It's going to move. The goal, though, is maybe we can nudge the boss. Okay, and the Wilden is on the seat now, so that's good to know that it can go on the seat. And then whenever we change phase, is it going to do anything? I think we may have just solved this problem by utilizing seats. If it changes phases while on here, this means that we could target this area with a particular spell, maybe even use a fan. That could be kind of cool. And so right here, I'm just using the same spell, targeting it over and over again. It's going to change phase. Is it going to move off the seat when it does this? It does not. Oh, this might actually be the way to do this. It's changing phase again. Now it has wings, but it's still stuck on the seat, cannot move. And I'm assuming once it's gone, it's gone. It's going to give us the drop. Oh, that is perfect. Now, something that I don't know, can we use hoppers or chutes or anything like that underneath seats to be able to collect the drops? So let's actually test this out. So if I put a hopper down here and I drop this item, oh, it does collect from the seat. Almost as if these seats were maybe intended for something like this. Now, with the proof of concept out of the way, coming up with the spell that we're going to use for it, well, that's going to be another task. Now, a spell is one thing, but also how are we going to perform the spell on said thing without needing to be nearby? I mean, this is a good way to do it. We have a regular spell turret as of right now. You can, of course, make multiple different versions of these, but a basic spell turret sends a signal, activates based on the spell parchment that is applied onto it. And so we can craft spell parchments quite easily if we go over here into our crafting area, and we can use our spell book to assign spells to it. But now to be able to set a spell, let's go ahead and just build a special spell. We'll say touch, or actually projectile, because the only two forms that it can accept is projectile and also touch. So we'll say projectile and then harm, and we'll apply amplify to it. This is like the basic of basic harm spell. And then we place the parchment down and shift right click to build that spell parchment. And once we have that, we can then put the spell on here by right clicking that spell parchment. And now it tells us it's projectile, harm, amplify. And whenever we activate this, it's going to deal some damage. Because I didn't deal the damage, it's not actually showing me the damage numbers, but they should apply the same as this. And it also costs, by the way, half as much as it would cost me to cast it. By the way, the damage values should be about 17. Yeah, about 17 damage per shot. Just a quick correction. The basic spell turret does not do the half. It's actually the enhanced version, the enchanted spell turret, which is this right here, just basically upgrading it a little bit. This one will cost half. Kind of worth it though. Now with concept done, I think it's time to start working on the area that we're going to place all of this in. So you know what? I think it's time to cue the time lapse. Now, after that little time lapse, I have myself a bridge allowing us to cross over the little bit of water. It's nothing super fancy, just sort of a nice little 3x3. I wanted to keep it small because the area we're going into isn't very large. It's not like we're sending trains over this or anything. Now, I did, though, want to start getting some stress over here because I do have a plan to potentially use some fans. But here's where we need to do a little bit of science. Yes, we are going to test the block breaking radius, because I don't remember quite what that block breaking radius is, because when the Wilden is summoned, it does destroy blocks that are on top of the ritual brazier. So it's not going to destroy blocks that that are like connected to the sides, but it does, and underneath, but it does break blocks, I believe, above and also in a area around. And this area could be kind of large. I think it was like a 15 by 15 or something quite huge, but we're going to really find that out here. So let's go ahead and summon a Wilden again, making sure my spellbook is ready. And I'm hoping that it will land on one of the seats. But yes, we'll toss this in. There we go. And when the boss is summoned, hopefully this will give us an idea of how large of an area this actually is. All right, there it goes. Okay, so it was summoned. Let's go ahead and push this guy off. Perfect. He landed on here. This is why I think this is going to be so nice. So anything that was in this range, we cannot have a fan or anything in it because it has the potential of being destroyed. And I do not need that. All right, let me get rid of this guy. We're taking care of the Wilden. This is 5 blocks out from the center point. Oh boy. So yeah, that is quite a large area. Basically, it covers an 11 by 11 radius. So, I mean, yeah, this goes out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which also means like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out this way. So yeah, that's quite a range right there. But now as far as it goes up, 4 blocks up, interestingly enough, from the center point. So 5 from where it would technically spawn. Now this is where things are going to get fun because I want to now test how far will this fan push. Since this is exactly 1 block outside of its spawning range, how far will it push it? And will it land directly on a seat? I mean, it should be pretty consistent, or at least you'd think it would be. So here we go, live test round 3 today. This is already the 3rd one that I have spawned in. Except, is the fan going to be high enough this time? Like maybe the fan does have to go 1 block taller? I'm unsure yet. Hoping, oh, that it just lands and works. You know what? You can't, it doesn't get better than that. That is beautiful. Now we do have these guys that are going to roam around. They do despawn though, I have noticed, after this guy goes away. But if they land on a seat, I don't know if they can despawn. But I mean, with this, now all we have to do is just worry about... We just have to simply worry about how we're going to take it out. I wonder though if every time also it will land on this particular seat too. Like this is kind of important to know. I would assume that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... This is probably pretty consistent that it would land on this particular seat every time. And it may need something like a slab to be able to work, but I mean, as of right now, this looks like it's going to work great. Now I'm trying to come up with spells that we could potentially use to take down this, well, Wilden quite quickly. And so I'm playing around with a bunch of different things that we have that are from tier 1 to tier 2. None of this has tier 3 stuff because that's actually what I'm working towards, right? And as of right now, this is pretty darn good. We have a projectile and freeze and cold snap, which I don't remember functioning together before. You used to have to put a delay between them, but I tested and it is cold snapping immediately after the freeze, which is kind of awesome. So those immunity frames, I guess, are kind of just gone. So we can amplify, then delay between the actual freeze cold snap, which does give you a bonus, by the way, because of the freezing, directly into an ignite, which is going to set them on fire and then immediately hit them with flare, which is going to give us another bonus effect for it being lit on fire, and then an amplify on that too, which will give us even more damage. And so it's an explosion that is quite nice, just like sending these like mage fires everywhere and stuff. I mean, we're basically doing like fireball and also like an ice ball at the same time. It's kind of epic looking. I don't think this is going to ignite or spread fire anywhere, but it is something that we might have to worry about. We could potentially do 2 cold snaps in a row, or potentially 3 cold snaps, because it should maintain the freezing, I believe. This is just one example of this, and I think this is so darn cool. Now, to test this, I did have to remove the focus of block shaping because, believe it or not, the cold snap can actually be modified by that, which also makes this an incredibly powerful personal spell. Completely changing the way these blocks work. You can modify and augment them to, like, I guess force them back onto the mob if you really wanted to. Pretty cool. But I'm like nerding out over here while working on this. Like, there's so many cool spells that you can put together. It's like building little programs that cause damage. I love it. So even further investigating, I wanted to try out that double cold snap that I was mentioning before. So projectile, freeze, hit it with the cold snap, amplify with a little bit of delay, and then follow back up with another cold snap after this, because cold snap leaves them with a freezing effect at maximum. And when applied, that was 27, and the damage numbers go even higher. And when we're hit again, 48, like it just keeps getting higher and higher. 78 damage there. So 109 damage. The more times you hit the mob with this cold snap, the more damage it does over time. And this could be really powerful when taking on a boss. Well, that assumes that all of these effects actually amplify. You know what? We should just summon the boss. Oh, and also I added a little lava pit down here to see if this will actually get rid of the wolves. So perfect. Here we go with like test number 256. Yeah, we've done a lot of tests so far, but This is going to be really cool. There it goes. Okay, the wolf still spawned kind of outside of the range, but that's completely fine. Let's see. Just on the wolf, not really being affected too much, but there it goes. That's just wild looking. All of the effects. All right, now, to hit the boss with this. Oh, yeah. And just assume that the spell turret is hitting this over and over again. And it just keeps getting higher and higher on the damage as it constantly keeps getting spammed with it. This is a amazing spell. Taking it out beautifully. I think now it's just time to really test this out. So I'm going to go ahead, place my blank parchment on here, take my Glacius spell, and what I'm going to do is inscribe that onto here, shift right clicking. Oh, this is going to be really powerful. So let's give it a shot. This is going to be pretty nice. I have this hooked up to a pulse timer. When triggered, it's going to activate, and you notice that it doesn't have any target to shoot particularly, but it is using a source right here, which is being refilled by a source link down below. So now whenever we summon the boss, we should be able to just kind of sit back and just let this happen. Here we go again with another test subject. We also got to figure out, by the way, how are we going to automatically summon this? Kind of going to be an interesting setup, but we can get this done. Now, this should put him where he goes. The wolves, I did expand the area. Looks like it still spawned outside, which is fine. Like I said, these guys are not going to be a problem. This, though, is a problem. Okay, so the spell turret doesn't seem like it's high enough or maybe far enough back. So it could have been a combination of both. It looks like if it's higher, it definitely works. If it's lower, let's see. It's like this level should be just fine. Let's hit it with the spell parchment. Okay, so it was just one block too close. And that's completely fine. Look at that. So yes, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our pulse timer, set that, and set it to like 3 seconds. And it should just like shred the boss. 3 seconds, maybe 2. Yeah, maybe 2 seconds to be super consistent with it. Oh yeah. Okay. So it doesn't deal as much damage as I was dealing, I think because of all of my threads with spell power and stuff. But it's still probably better than using base harm spells. I mean, this 100% gets the job done. I thought maybe if I put my gear inside of an inventory, it could use the gear, but no. I mean, yeah, that is still great. Now, I also don't want this spell constantly running, so I was trying to think of a way that I could potentially shut this off, and I think I've come up with a solution here. Okay, so we have an advanced sensor, and these are the exact settings for the advanced sensor. We can actually change the tick speed, but it shouldn't really matter here. The goal, though, is to make it target all living, and then make sure it's under weak signal, and then less than 1. And this is going to send a redstone signal until there's something living here. As soon as there's something living, it should send a pulse and keep sending a pulse so long as something living is here. And I don't want to get in the way of this thing because this is going to hurt really bad if I get hit by it. But you can see that that is sending a redstone signal. So I guess, again, we can try to set up the automation for summoning this guy. I think that's going to be sort of the plan now. Also, we may have to adjust the seat just a little bit, or the position that it is doing the check, because it might have to be up top here. I still don't know. I think, though, right here, it should tell if there's something on a seat. It should still count. For the automation, I could go about utilizing modular routers, as we do have a modular router access at this point. But I was thinking, can we do this with something as simple as a simple clicker from Just Dire Things? I think we might be able to. So I do need to make sure that this targets the correct side. So let's go ahead and define this. I'm going to have this facing up like so. And then I'm pretty sure this is the target side. And then up is actually where I want it to do the thing. Right click is the thing I want it to do. And I want it to right click as it inserts items. But I also don't want it to cancel a potential ritual when the items all go in. So this is something that I've kind of got to keep in mind. I only want it to also click when certain items are inside. So I guess the goal now would be to kind of set this up in a way that we make sure we collect ingredients. We have an auto crafter that'll send the ingredients And we also want to make sure that this is set to lock until outputs are received to only send one set at a time. Then we need to make sure that our set is sent in the correct order. That is also going to be pretty important. And before we realize that a chute does work. So I'm thinking a chute or a hopper. And we could use a hopper here directly underneath. Doesn't need to be set to anything. And then an importer to make sure we pull the item that is completed goes back into here. That should work well too. Now back over here, what I want to define is going to be a craft for the summon here. And I am going to set this up with all of the individual pieces when it does get crafted to make sure that it evens things out as best as possible. And then also making sure blocks of lapis are craftable too. Those are going to be kind of important. But the thing we want to craft is the Wilden tribute. Now it doesn't have a crafting recipe per se, but we can make a processing pattern that involves sending this tablet into it and then sending one of each of the corresponding materials. And we should be able to build this in a way that will allow this to be summoned. If we go from left to right, that should hopefully define it. And then we drag this into here. And this is the thing that we're trying to get. Once we have all of that, we're getting somewhere. Well, let's go ahead and try this. At the moment, this is set to 20 ticks on the speed. It should just right click when the ingredients go in, and that should summon the tablet. All right, let's go ahead and request a single tribute. It's not a tablet, it's a tribute. All right, this was just a tribute. I requested one. So far, nothing. I'm wondering if the autocrafter can even send ingredients into the simple clicker. That 100% seems like some issue that is going on. So yes, I am going to actually cancel that. And instead, I'm going to try something different. So instead, I will use an upper. As weird as this sounds, an upper might work, and we can just send into the upper. If not, we'll have to have a barrel under the upper. The upper should send up. If all of this science works, let's go ahead and try this. Let's try the tribute. Request one. Oh, there it goes. And it clicked. And it getting clicked again doesn't seem to cause any effect. It doesn't look like. Oh, it says awaiting activation. Oh no, it did work. It recognized the entity is there. It is taking them out, and it also had no problems taking out the puppers as well. I think so long as our input and our hopper actually collects the target, I think we've successfully automated this guy. Now as the Wilden takes its last breath, it should be completed and the tribute has succeeded. And then this should shut off. Oh, I'm so happy with this. And you know what? You blink and the next thing you know, the outline for an entire building is ready to go. I'm not going to be building it just yet, but I did want to get sort of the outline ready to go. And I think I've done that. I've got the base that is going to be the tough. Most of our buildings have been lined with tough for the base. I don't think I'm going to go with brick though this time for the main part of the structure. Instead, we're going to be going with something different. That's why it's also way out over here. But that'll have to be for another episode because today we are just kind of all out of time. Like I was going to work on more of the building, but yeah, I think this is going to have to wait for another day. But now one more thing before we end. Let's summon one more Wilden tribute. There we go. That should get it all going. Oh, I hear it happening. And we wait. It is interesting that it doesn't do all the fancy particles. But the fact that it sets on there, then it triggers, and I have my observation window right here, is just perfect. This is going to be great. And the mob even orients in the correct direction. Ah, very nice. So now if you guys enjoyed today's episode and you learned something new, of course, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And well, give this video, guys, a huge thumbs up. With that being said, it's now time for me to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that huge thanks is going to go out to Dante2407 or 24/7. Thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord, becoming a Discord premium member, and just supporting my content in one of the best ways possible. Thank you so much, you absolute boss. And guys, I look forward to getting all of those tier 3 spells in the next episode. And as always, thanks for watching.